Joy to be back to you again. It's Rowan Hand, it's Destination Uri. We're interrupting the news hub there because Tommy has joined me. Tommy Sands, always good to see you.
And
Welcome,
you too, Rowan.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Tommy, my colleague and friend of long-standing years, has dropped in to grace this part of the show, which is simply called Heartbeat, the Meaning of Life. And another sort of broadcaster does the meaning of life down the road in Dublin. That fellow Gay Byrne.
Oh, yes.
He does a
yes.
wonderful job there. Yes. So we can't actually plagiarize the title. Heartbeat, the meaning of life, gives us a good take on it. And no man is better able to talk about heartbeat because, you know, your entire family, from the goodness of your mummy and daddy on the Ryan Road, Tommy, you have been driven by, in many, many respects, by heartbeat, by the good that comes from the deep heart's core. And you grew that out around the Ryan Road.
Yes, I suppose all the people were always very important. You're always influenced and affected by all the people and how they feel and so on. And I suppose growing up in that sort of situation where you know, there was no electricity or running water. Well, the only running water was running to the well with a bucket for it.
You remember that?
Oh, of course I do, yes.
And it would have been an enamel bucket.
If you're lucky.
A white, if you were lucky, it would have been a white enamel bucket.
That's
and
right.
Maybe not.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
And all that, you know, there's no TV, or we had radio with a wet battery that you had to charge every so often.
A lead-acid accumulator. That's what they called it.
That is the name,
Yeah.
yes. We had to walk about 2 or 3 miles to get it charged. But as a result, you depended very much more on people in vicinity, you know.
Yeah. There would never have been in those days, or would there? You see somebody coming up the lane and you go, oh, it's not him again. We'll not let on we're here. We'll go out the back. Never any of that.
Maybe someone coming around selling things.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't want that.
Yeah. You would. You might hide.
Oh.
but no, I think people liked coming into each other's houses and having a chat. And in fact, I remember my father saying one time it was the central heating that ruined the country.
Yeah.
Because before that came in, you really only could have one fire lit in the house. You know, you could hardly afford to keep the whole house warm. There'd be just one room, and everybody would be in that room. And if you had a row with somebody, there's no point in going off to your room to a computer and sulking.
No.
You had to deal with it all there. So you learned an awful lot of social skills, how to deal with all the people and talk things out. So I think that was important.
Tommy, it seems like only yesterday, all of the things you're talking about. Only yesterday, I met a man the other day who said to me, the last time I saw you, you were coming out of your house at 48 Derrybeg Drive in your naval uniform. Yes. Well, the other day I was in my 72nd year. He's talking about a time he remembered when I was 19.
Yes.
And that's so it's so fleeting. Do you get that sense now as you grow older that life has flown by, albeit in a good way?
Yeah, I think those times probably time went more slowly as well, so you could take more things in.
It's in the reflection it's quick.
Yeah, that's true.
When you look back on it, they only seem like yesterday.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, it's amazing how time just flies. And, you know, and the older you get, the faster it goes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an impossible question maybe, but of all the songs that you have written and done, is there one that roars from the shelf of your keeping and says, I'm your favourite?
You know, the songs are a little bit like children in a way, Rowan. You know, you live with them all for a while. Yeah. And then they head off down the road. You don't know what corner they're going to take or where they're going to go, and you hope they're looked after well. And a lot of my songs have been recorded, you know, by other people in various parts of the world and translated and so on. So I would like them all, but I suppose there's a few songs that would be important to me in the sense that they may have said something
Yeah.
that was important to be said at the time, you know. And I suppose There Were Roses would be one, and Music of Healing's another one. And
Roses. Let's maybe listen to the Roses one.
Sure.
Sean has it there ready for it. There Were Roses. This is one of the man's favourite songs.
Now for adding to the sorrows of this troubled northern land. But lately I've been thinking, and it just won't leave my mind, to tell you of two friends one time who were both good friends of mine. Alan Bell from Bena, he lived just across the fields, a great man for the music and the dancing and the reels. O'Malley came from South Armagh to court young Alice Fair, and we'd often meet on the Ryan Road, and the laughter filled the air. There were roses, roses, there were roses, and the tears of the people ran together. Though Alan, he was Protestant and Sean was Catholic born, it never made a difference, for the friendship it was strong. And sometimes in the evening, when we heard the sound of drums, we said it won't divide us, we will always be the one. For the ground our fathers ploughed in, the soil it is the same, and the places where we say our prayers have just got different names. We talked about the friends who died, and we hope there'd be no more. It's little then we realized the tragedy in store. There were roses, roses, there were roses, and the tears of the people ran together. It was on a Sunday morning when the awful news came round. Another killing has been done just outside Newry town. We knew that Alan danced up there, we knew he liked the band, but when we heard that he was dead, we just could not understand. We gathered at the graveside on that cold and rainy day, and the minister, he closed his eyes and he prayed for no revenge. And all the ones who knew him from along the Ryan Road, they bowed their heads and they said a prayer for the resting of his soul. There were roses, roses, there were roses, and the tears of the people ran together. Well, fear had filled the countryside, there was fear in every home, when the car of death came prowling round the lonely Ryan Road. A Catholic would be killed tonight to even up the score. Oh Christ, it's young O'Malley that they've taken from the door. Alan was my friend, he cried, he begged them with his spear, but centuries of hatred, of ears that cannot hear. An eye for an eye was all that filled their mind, and another eye for another eye, till everyone is blind. There were roses, there were roses, and the tears of the people ran together.
Nice fade out there from Sean, and it's a story with a tale to tell, and it tells its tale. It's a tale of all of our troubles over the last 40 years in Northern Ireland, you know.
Yes.
And we were driven along the road of, in many, many cases, and it's recorded there, by religion, and we're God. And we have lots of religion, it's often said, but no God. Where
Yeah.
are you on God?
Well, in a, I suppose, a logical way, I don't feel I've got the mental muscles to grasp what God is exactly, or who God is exactly. I think maybe the very essence of God is ungraspable, if you can use that word. But I would certainly be familiar with a being or something that, a primary source that's good.
People talk about the Big Bang. That was the beginning. And the little bit of mental muscle I have begs the question, well, what was before the Big Bang? Where did the constituent parts come from?
Yes, yes.
And I don't have an answer to that.
And
at
I don't
all.
think anyone really has, either you believe in things, I don't think you can scientifically work it all out at all.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we've got the information to do that, except it's revealed to you in some other shape or form. And faith would grow out of that type of thing.
I suppose the nearest we come to the garden of God is the life of our families, the children we raise and bring into the world. We see them grow up with degrees of togetherness and kindness towards other people. You begin to see that as a godlike thing.
Yes, well, I suppose if you look back at the old Irish idea of religion, Ireland not coming under Rome at any time wouldn't have been influenced by the Roman philosophy of power. The Roman Empire, power is up there, hierarchical. Whereas, I suppose for the ancient Irish, God was not up there only. He was in the wind and the rain.
Oh, yeah.
He was everywhere. And I suppose the early church would have been very much influenced by that Pelagius, the theological philosopher, if you like, who would have seen God in this way, rather than in the Roman way, Augustine of Hippo, where everything was up there and we were small down here. Whereas the Irish ancient way would have been that God is within you.
Yeah.
And,
But isn't it a craziness that the coming of the Roman, so to speak, Patrick, that he came and disrupted all of that inner God philosophy that we had?
Yes.
The wind, Bridget, the wind and the
That's
rain,
right.
and the sea and everything around us, the Celticism of our very being. But Patrick came and gave us something different.
Yeah,
And we're coming into his month.
it's amazing irony, you know. If you look at back, the Pope Adrian IV, an English Pope, the only English Pope there was, he wanted to centralize Christianity under Rome, and the Crusades and all that were going on at the time, bring in everything under Rome. But of course, the Irish weren't sending any money to Rome because they didn't really have much time for bishops. You know, so Pope Adrian, and this is rarely spoken about, he issued a papal bull, a laudibiliter, giving permission to Henry II to invade Ireland to bring Ireland under Rome.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Where things change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, another Henry came along and said, no, not
Yeah.
under Rome.
No.
Under me.
Yeah, unless you allow me to marry again, or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
And a lot of people would get their religion from their parents or from maybe the Lord who ran that particular area, and say, right, we're moving over to this side now.
Yeah,
This is your religion now.
Yeah.
You know, and you know when you see people throwing stones at each other over barricades, I don't think they're really talking about, you know, how dare you say that about Timothy 2 verses 3 to 16. You know, I think religion is used so much to divide people.
It is used, Tommy. And the way we go forward in respect and success comes, and the great pattern of success of today very quickly becomes just a fading memory of yesterday when you look back and get it. But you're doing new things all the time, and you're heading off to New York this summer.
Yes. There's a show of mine opening in New York.
How easily he says that, a show of mine in New York.
It's based, it's a stage show, kind of a one-man show, but there's a multimedia kind of backup with pictures and so on. And it's based on the book, The Songman.
The Songman book.
Yes, that's right.
Was,
and it's called The Ballad of a Songman.
On the back of the song?
No, the Ballad of a Songman.
The Ballad of a Songman.
Yes, that's right.
But Songman, if anything, if I recall, was the story of a journey. Your journey.
Yes.
Your journey in life, your journey in music, your journey in politics. It took you very close to the political edge, which might have been your life very, very different. But the strengths that you were given on the Ryan Road kept you in a certain way. How would you sum up The Songman for people who haven't yet seen it?
Well, the book, as you know, Rowan, it's a kind of a journey, my own kind of, I suppose, physical and mental journey, if you like. But it's as much as what's happening on each side of the hedge as what's happening on the road, you know. I'm kind of aware as much as I can be of what's going on and different people that I meet, and kind of a potted history, I suppose, in a political way of what has happened during my lifetime, but also in music and in the value of music in a divided society and so on.
Yeah, and I remember when I did the nationwide documentary on you and your family, we filmed with you in the area. And there was a universality of, there was universal respect and mutual respect between yourselves and the Protestant community.
Oh, yeah.
And the stories of Protestant farmers coming to help with the harvest of the Catholics with the Protestants.
Oh, yes, very, very much so.
That happened.
They were very, I mean, I can't even say they, because we were all part of growing up, helped each other in the fields. When the thresher come round, we couldn't do without each other. So you can't make war when hay has to be made.
Indeed.
And
is there a song called that?
It's not, but there probably should be. And those people who lived in the townland of Ryan, they're very, very important to me. In fact, the local Orange Hall asked me down to do a little concert down there, and in Finnard Orange Hall. And somebody came in and he said, "You shouldn't be here, you know." And I said, "Why not?" He says, "You should be in Desert Orange Hall. That's the one closest to you."
That's a lovely story.
But a lot of the songs that we sang, we learned from local people from the Protestant community. And the thing is, it's sad in many ways that Protestants have, some of them, have pulled back from the song tradition and the music tradition, which belongs to them as much as it belongs to anybody. And a lot of the songs that we sang, like Refrain on the Hill, The Rocks at Gibraltar, we learned those songs from people at home. And great
but the song noise that you make, and we heard it in Roses there, it's an iconic and a unique sound, and that grows out of something. Like, isn't it an extraordinary thing that there's only one Tommy Sands sound, one Sands family sound, that has grown out of the ground of this part of the world? It's almost like some kind of god of the dance and the music and the poetry has gone around planting little shoots here and here and here, and that ne'er the shoots shall meet, different sounds planned in the garden of the musical god.
Yes.
Is that madness on my part?
I think sound is very important. You know, many of the old traditions, the old, you know, the Aboriginals in Australia, North American Indians, or indeed the natives of this island, would have seen sound as been very important. In fact, in Aboriginals would talk about singing into existence the mountains and the sea and so on. C.S. Lewis, who lived down or came to Australia a lot, his Narnia thing, the lion humming, you know, into existence, Narnia and that sort of thing. In this Ballad of a Songman, I'm reaching back a little bit to the first song ever sung in Ireland, which was, according to the old books, and you know, the Laura Gabala, the book of the Comings, the Four Masters, and all those stories, which are fascinating stories. They would stand up with anything that the Greeks or any other tradition would have in terms of profound stories, and a little bit like it's like an Old Testament, if you like, of the history of our people, if you like, and you would have the first humans who came to Ireland, according to the old stories, or one of the old stories, was the Milesians, and they arrived and they were met by three goddesses of the Tuatha De Danann, the spirit people who lived in Ireland before, and they say, you can come in if you call the place after me, Erin, Banba and Fullow. And Fullow and Banba became the poetic names for Ireland. And Eru, Erin is genitive case of Eru. The land of Eru is Erin. So a lot of these old stories would be, you know, facts and figures vary and change, but the truths within them remain. And, you know, a little bit like Samson. Samson killed 1,000 men with the jawbone of an ass. Maybe it is only 998 that he killed.
But he was there.
But the story is he was a strong man.
Aye.
And the facts and figures are less important than the truths. And this first song sung by Amergin, it's fascinating. It's sung in the old Irish. It's sort of like, and the English would be like, I am wind on sea, I am wave on ocean, I am the roar of the thundering deep, the thundering deep. And it's fascinating stuff.
Huge stuff.
And he sings Ireland out of the mist into the human vision and existence. So the sound is so important. Again, Aboriginal people would say that a person doesn't exist until they're named. And you're right, sound is it's the noise we're making at the moment, but it's our way of communicating.
Absolutely. And we don't communicate very often half enough. We all walk our separate ways, our quiet ways. You're like myself, Tommy. You're moving along the timeline.
That's right.
Yeah, it's and I'm quite prepared to answer the question that I'm going to ask you as well. You know, there's an inevitability about what's to come.
Yes.
Health will end at some stage.
Absolutely. It's the only
Wealth
thing
will be gone.
Yes, it's already gone. But
we'll have a piece of real estate that's 6 feet deep if we choose to do there. And how are you on the business of your mortality, the coming of the end?
Again,
Amergin there was speaking of the future, but we're now looking to the past.
yes. Well, you know, time, we were speaking about time earlier on. Does time go from there to there, or is it always in existence? Is everything here at this moment, past, present, and future, in some shape or form? I've enjoyed immensely the adventures of this, what we call life. And I'm looking forward to the next adventures very much.
It is adventure, yeah. Interesting. I said I'd answer the question as well. For me, it's the next adventure. Because all my life, you've been off singing across the world. I've been untying the rope of a boat from the shore and letting go, and either alone or with John Donnelly, heading out beyond the lighthouse and setting a course across to the northeast and across to the Isle of Man, fetching up in Peel or somewhere else. So it's been a lifetime of adventures of looking beyond the horizon.
That's right.
So for me, I think that was all a preparation in a kind of way for the ultimate truth of death. That I'm still looking beyond the horizon and wondering, you know.
Yeah, I think there's certainly, you know, Einstein would have said that, you know, the energy that we are, it can never be destroyed. It'll always be an essence in some shape or form. And I think in whatever way, wherever we go, be it heaven or... I don't believe much in the other place.
No, I think it wouldn't be a very impressive God who would vent his vengeance for the greatest sin that we can commit, which would in his eyes be very small sin, you know. And of course he's the God of, dare I suggest, many universes.
Oh, yeah.
Because now we're getting more and more exoplanets with inhabitable zones. So that's fascinating. Look at the sky at night, you know. We had a beautiful moon over the loch this last few nights.
That's right.
Is that the lovely star hanging down from it? So heaven knows what's beyond.
Absolutely. I mean, I met a very interesting character a few months back in the States, a man called Bart Jordan. He was a child genius. I may have told you about this man. He could speak something like 12 languages at the age of 6. Never learned them. They must have been revealed to him because these were languages that have gone out of existence. Some of them are not spoken anymore, like ancient Aramaic and various dialects. And he's a very interesting take on all these things. He had a vision of 3 children, a woman, and a burning ball. And he went to school the next day, and the nun said, "Don't be saying that, you're going to be saying that it was Our Lady that appeared to you." But it's a long story. But one of the priests in the school said, "Come with me tomorrow for a drive." They picked up a Jewish rabbi who had studied in the theological college with a priest. They went down to Princeton in New Jersey. The wee lad didn't know where he was. And this man came out of a room with long white hair. And he's playing a comb with a paper. And he says to the wee lad, "Can you do that?" The wee lad could do anything. He actually, the same wee lad had studied guitar with Segovia, or did later. But he's only a child. And the old man says, "What was written on the woman's tunic?" So the wee lad knew exactly what it was. Numbers. The wee lad, or the old man says, "You've got 3 numbers after the point more than what I have." He says, "I'll use your figures because they were revealed to you." This was Einstein. He became very close to Einstein. He became unwittingly involved in the Manhattan Project.
Yes.
Finding out the weight of plutonium at the speed of light, which was a terrible disaster, of course, because that's what created the Nagasaki bomb. But his whole life, he was only a child. But he has got revelations of another world all the time. And became a scientist as well. He's involved with a lot of the probes into space and that sort of thing. But, I mean, we haven't even started to understand.
Of course.
And I suppose whenever science came along, people stopped believing in the church and they let science go away to find the answers. But science hasn't come back.
No.
So I think the ultimate knowledge is where scientific knowledge and spiritual knowledge meet somehow. And whenever we come close to that, we could maybe have another conversation.
Absolutely. But there is an oddness in considering those we've loved and who have gone. Your mum and dad, my mum and dad, they're as alive in my mind's eye today as they were yesterday. To the extent if I went into the coffee shop and my father or mother was sitting there and said hello, I haven't seen you since yesterday, how are you? They're that close.
Yes, yes.
Like that isn't, now people I worked with 10 years ago, I've forgotten about. People I've had a contact with 10 years ago, I've forgotten about. But special people who made us what we are and who are dead live on in my psyche and in yours. That has got to be some kind of
presence and yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's very, you can't prove these things, but someone talked about the fairies one time. Said you can't prove they exist, but there's not much evidence either that they don't exist.
Absolutely.
So I think with this world outside our small little understanding of it is much bigger. And
you're blessed in that you live in an idyllic location at the bottom of a mountain on the shore of a loch, framed by another mountain. That's
beautiful.
Yeah. What is that? To what extent has that setting made you the man you are?
Well, I love the sense of space. I think it's kind of a sacred place where water meets the earth and mountains meet the sea and the sky comes down. All those things coming together. I think being at a point like that, it's a bit like, remember in the schools years ago, if you were bad or if you're a bit stupid, they put you in the corner, put a dunce's hat on you. And the idea of that wasn't to show that you were stupid at all. It is the idea of the angle where that's where energy was. And so if you were a little bit slow on something, it is because there's a lack of energy. And it became something else. But you know the wizard idea of the hat, like this angle thing where energy comes out of. So Restrever's a little bit like that.
Wear your hat of Restrever proudly. Yeah. Well, we're into the new year, and thank you for joining me.
A pleasure.
It's been good, and keep us in mind when you go to New York, and we'll talk to you later about that, indeed. But it's a real joy talking to this man again, because we remove ourselves from the angularity of the nuts and bolts of life, which we necessarily must engage with on an ordinary, practical basis. But when we talk, Tommy, we've got a moment to shoot the breeze on the imponderables.
Exactly.
And there are so many of them.
That's right.
Just to think there could be another Sands and Hand on an exoplanet in the habitable zone of B79254 still to be uncovered.
Yeah.
That's Tommy Sands. Tommy, God bless you. Go well.
Thank you very much, Rowan.
As our African friends say, go well. That's what we wish you.
Thank you.
And we wish you happiness as we say farewell to you. And don't really sweat the small stuff. Be happy, bring happy with you wherever you go, and realize the joy that is to be found in making other people happy. Tommy, go well.
Thank you very much.
Bless you.